Hi everybody, thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about my colours a little bit today. Some of you have probably heard of the paint I make, perhaps some of you haven't. But anyway, here's the perfect opportunity to show you a few colours I have. If you haven't seen them before, you're probably thinking, well, what's the difference? It's yet another range of oil paints. For me, what's significantly different is this is a range of paints that I developed while I was literally an art student. I walked into the National Gallery in London, here in London, and looked at a Rembrandt and I thought, well, why can't I paint like that? Needless to say, I'm still coming to terms with the fact that I wasn't a genius, but more basically, I could see that Rembrandt's paints were a far cry from any paints that I was able to get. So I set up about sort of researching that a little bit, and I discovered that at one time artists used to all make their own paint, and of course a little light went on in my head at that moment, thinking, well, if they all did, I can. I got hold of course, the Ralph Mayer's book, The Artist's Handbook of Methods and Techniques, which we all regard as a bit of a Bible in the industry. I advise everyone to get a copy. And within that tome, you will find a section on how to make oil paints. Of course, at the age of 19, I read it and I just thought, wow, this is so simple. By end of next week, I should be painting like Rembrandt. I'm still working on that bit. But the most fundamental moment was when I started grinding the first two colours, which were burnt umber and raw umber, and immediately I started noticing a luminosity I hadn't seen in any paints that I could acquire from the stores at the time. And you know, if you think about a Rembrandt, you look for instance at the brown background, those sorts of just the sheer moistness of the paint I was able to achieve for the first time. And rather strangely, of course, artists would come to my studio and say, hey, what is this a new medium or something that you've got hold of? And I said, no, I'm making my own paints. And of course, first of all, they doubted I was being honest, and then I showed them, and of course a few people tried them, and the next thing they're all bashing on my door saying, I've got to have more of this stuff. So we all had a bit of a breakthrough, and that was the inspiration moment. As I said, I was coming to the end of my student days, and I was considering bar work or waiting tables until I was going to become the world famous discovered artist. And a little light went on which suggested to me that maybe I could be in my studio each day making a little bit of paint for artists and selling a little bit of paint, and I wouldn't have to do the bar work and wait the tables. Unfortunately, I didn't know what I was starting, and here I am all these 40 whatever years later, now making paint for I don't know how many thousands of artists around the world. It's impossible to know. And it's been a fantastic journey, a journey I'm still on. It allows me to constantly meet artists all around the world. I have one of those, you know, you run into people who say, I've got the best job in the world, that I don't have to really work. Well, I'm one of those lucky guys. I love so much what I do. I paint still. COVID allowed me to do more painting than I'd done in probably 20 years. And that's my story.